precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Sabrina Zawahir. First, the headlines. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that government has launched a program to build a people-centric economy. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena emphasizes that government will stand by the unitary nature of the country as a sovereign state. State Minister Nalaka Godahewa points out that government has taken a final decision about the East Container Terminal. The Defence Secretary reveals that legal reforms will be introduced to deal with drug-related issues. 31,000 army personnel are to be given COVID vaccine. And in world news, as asylum camp swells at US-Mexico border, Biden aides calls for patience. And in sports, it's athletics. Dana Asher-Smith sets a new 60-meter world lead. Now the local news in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that government has launched a program to build a people-centric economy. The Vistas of Prosperity Manifesto has been prepared with that objective. Accordingly, the government has paid more attention on agriculture. Steps have been taken to suspend imports with the aim of increasing benefits to the farming communities. The President mentioned this today while attending the 8th Gama Samaga Pilisandara program near Thanamalwila, Alutwawa, Kukulkatuwa tank in Monaragala. He said that the program was launched before the government came into power to identify problems of the people and to provide solutions to them. He further said that the Vistas of Prosperity policy statement was prepared with that objective. Apart from that, the program also aims to get the views and proposals of the people in the villages. President Rajapaksa added that everyone should support the development of the country. The Gama Samaga Pilisandara program to improve living standards of the people living in remote villages and to develop infrastructure has been held at 7 places earlier. A progressive review is constantly done to see whether actions are being taken on the proposals submitted during the programs. Minister of Foreign Affairs Dinesh Gunawardena says that the government will stand by the unitary nature of the country as a sovereign state. The minister told SLBC that the government withdrew from the co-sponsorship of 31 resolution when the war heroes have not been found guilty by the judiciary. Senior lawyer and human rights activist Kalyananda Thiranagama said that the government should take legal action against statements issued by northern political leaders against the country. Meanwhile, Chairman of the People's Justice Centre, Venerable Jamburuwela Chandraratana Thera, said that the Human Rights Commission, which speaks about lost human rights during the war 12 years ago, does not speak about human rights of the victims of Easter Sunday bomb attacks 1.5 years ago. State Minister Dr. Nalaka Godahewa has pointed out that proposals submitted by the trade unions in connection with the East Container Terminal of the Colombo Harbour are included in the Vistas of Prosperity policy statement. The State Minister said that the document given jointly by the 22 out of 23 trade unions of the harbour was handed over to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday. The State Minister said that he would represent Vietamaga organisation in this regard and no steps will be taken externally to the Vistas of Prosperity Manifesto. State Minister Godahewa said that although various parties criticized the President in connection with the issue, a final decision has not been taken about the matter. He further said that a ministerial subcommittee has been appointed to take action on the issue and its report is yet to be received. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne says that legal reforms would be introduced soon to direct drug-addicted minor offenders to rehabilitation centres for curative measures instead of retaining them behind the prison cells for an extensive period. He said seized narcotics in custody during operations would also be destroyed promptly following the judgment of judiciary while forwarding samples for legal proceedings in order to prevent underhand dealings and abusing official powers. He said plans are in the pipeline to set up 20 buildings in Veeravilla to augment the prison's capacity for 12,000 inmates. He added facilities available in the rehabilitation centres are not enough and requirement exists to develop the centre and rehabilitate about 1,000 inmates. General Gunaratna expressed these remarks yesterday at the inauguration ceremony of the Navadigantaya Treatment and Rehabilitation Centre in Nitambua. Attanagala Rajamaha Viharaya Chief Prelate Venerable Dr. Pannila Anandanayaka Thera sponsored the noble cause, while the technical expertise and labour was from the Sri Lanka Navy. Plans are afoot to construct a new building complex at the same venue under the supervision of the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board. The NDDCB News website was relaunched on the occasion. Army Media Director Brigadier Nilantha Premaratna says that 31,000 Army personnel will be given the COVID vaccine. Nearly 1,000 have been given vaccines yesterday. 7,500 are to be vaccinated today and 15 base and field hospitals. He said that the vaccination program would be ended within next 3 days. Meanwhile, Navy media spokesman Captain Indika De Silva said that 10,000 Navy personnel would be given the vaccine. Air Force media spokesman Group Captain Dushan Vijay Singha said that Air Force personnel would also be given the vaccine. With that, we conclude the local news. The main news story follows.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
A special traffic plan has been devised in view of the 73rd National Independence Day celebrations on the 4th of February. Accordingly, the vehicular movement will be restricted around Independence Square in Colombo and nearby areas. Rehearsals for Independence Day are set to take place from today to 3rd of February. During this period, the special traffic plan will be effective from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Meanwhile, the vehicular movement will be limited near Independence Square from 4 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Independence Day. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight, Sri Lanka Air Force has requested the public to refrain from sending kites, balloons or drones into the sky in the general area of Colombo. It has made the request as Air Force fly-past rehearsals for the 73rd Independence Day are underway in Colombo from January 28th to February 4th, where aircraft are flying at low heights. That came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news follows.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
The headlines of the world news. As asylum camp swells at US-Mexico border, Biden aide calls for patience. Mexico imports AstraZeneca vaccine from India. Chicago teachers say COVID-19 safety plan talks will continue over the weekend. Now the world news in detail. The Biden administration is urging migrants waiting in Mexico under restrictions imposed by former U.S. President Donald Trump to be patient even as the population of the makeshift camp in northeastern Mexico begins to swell with hopeful asylum seekers. Yesterday, a senior aide to U.S. President Joe Biden said the administration is working on a system to process the asylum seekers who are waiting in Mexico under a Trump-era program known as Migrant Protection Protocols. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said yesterday that Mexico plans to import about 870,000 doses of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine from India in February, as well as producing it locally. Mexico and Argentina have a deal with AstraZeneca to produce its vaccine for distribution in Latin America with financial support from the foundation of Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim. Mexico is trying to secure as much vaccine supply as possible amid delivery delays and a surge in cases. Chicago teachers in the school district said yesterday that talks will continue this weekend in hopes of reaching an COVID-19 safety plan agreement that would avoid work stoppages and allow in-person classes to resume for thousands of elementary and middle school students. The Chicago Teachers Union, representing 28,000 public school educators, has been locked in negotiations with Chicago Public Schools, the nation's third largest school district, for months over a plan to gradually reopen schools for in-person learning. With that, we conclude the world news, and prior to concluding, the headlines of the world news once again. As asylum camp swells at U.S.-Mexico border, Biden aide calls for patience. Mexico imports AstraZeneca vaccine from India. Chicago teachers say COVID-19 safety plan talks will continue over the weekend. With that, we conclude the world news. The development news follows.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
In development news, Power Minister Dala Saleh Perumal stated that 1,218 solar power cells, each capable of generating over 1,000 kilowatts of electricity, will be provided to residents in Kurunegala soon. He was speaking at a recent Rural Economic Infrastructure Development Committee meeting held at the Kurunegala District Secretariat. He said that Kurunegala would become the main district that generates electricity through solar power. That ends development news. Next up is the sports news. Taking a look at the sports news, it's athletics in first. Britain's Dina Asher-Smith sets a new 60-meter world lead in her first international meet since 2019 at the World Indoor Athletics Tour in Caldora, Germany. Racing indoors for the first time in 3 years, her winning time of 7.8 seconds equaled her personal best. Asher-Smith, aged 25, raced just 3 times in the coronavirus hit 2020, all low-key club races. Elliot Giles won the men's 800 meters in a world-leading 1 minute 45.50 seconds. Next is football. The Premier League will trial the use of concussion substitutes from Saturday, 6th February. The new rule means up to 2 permanent substitutions can be made in the event of head injuries, even if all replacements have already been used. Opposition teams will also be able to make an additional normal substitution at a time of their choice. The first match of the trial is scheduled to be kicked off today between Aston Villa and Arsenal. Next is handball. Holders Denmark reached the World Handball Championship final with a thrilling 35-33 win over Spain to set up a highly anticipated clash with Scandinavian neighbour Sweden, who stunned more heralded France 32-26 yesterday. The Danes, who are also the Olympic title holders, prevailed in a titanic clash with European champions Spain thanks to an effervescent performance from top scorer Mikkel Hansen, who netted 12 goals. That ends sports news. The business news follows.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Danusha Marine Lanka Exports Private Limited, one of the largest exporters in the boat and shipbuilding industry in Sri Lanka, exported their first 20-meter multi-day fishing vessel, FV Ocean Harvest, for Ocean Harvest Limited in Mauritius, which successfully sailed to Mauritius recently. The company has contributed to Sri Lanka's exports by generating foreign exchange while creating employment opportunities. The fourth boat-building factory of Danusha Marine, located at Payagala, opened in September 2020. That ends Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic News. Courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh, no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
A research report published by HSBC Global Research in December expects Sri Lanka's GDP to grow by 7% year-on-year in 2021, largely due to the base effects since they estimated a 5% drop in GDP during 2020. This was stated by the new president of the National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka, Nandika Buddhipala, during the 62nd AGM at Kingsbury Hotel recently. The report predicted that Sri Lanka should bounce back impressively. This will be the biggest upgrade to their forecasts. That was Economic News.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. The Met Department says showers will occur at times in northern, north-central, eastern and Uva provinces and in Matale and Nuwara districts. Fairly heavy falls, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places in Eastern Province and in Polonnaruwa, Matale and Mullaitivu districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in Western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in Galle, Matara and Kandy districts. Misty conditions can be expected in western, central, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces during the morning. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the government has launched a program to build a people-centric economy. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena emphasizes that government will stand by the unitary nature of the country as a sovereign state. State Minister Nalaka Godeheva points out that government has not taken a final decision about the East Container Terminal. The Defence Secretary reveals that legal reforms will be introduced to deal with drug-related issues. 31,000 Army personnel are to be given COVID vaccine. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news, and over to my friend and certainly yours to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music indeed. Over to you, Niranjan.